It's just another podcast. Gonna be picking it out. It's just another podcast. Gonna be picking it out. No telling what kind of shit we're gonna talk about. Yeah, 'cause we're just picking it out. Hey, y'all.
All right.
Hell, my name's Andrew Pope, and you're listening / watching, picking it out. Appreciate y'all tuning in once again with us here this week. Real excited this week, y'all. We got a country music Hall of Famer here, and we finally got Zoom figured out. This guy's a founding member of one of the biggest group ever in country music by far. Mr. Teddy Gentry. Man, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Andrew. How you, brother?
Doing good. Looks
Good deal.
like it's kind of chilly in the house there.
It is a little chilly outside and rainy today, but I've been out hanging with my chickens and my cows, so I'm dressed in my country boy outfit today.
That's right. You still gathering your chicken collection out there that you was talking about?
Yes, sir. I got 20 or so rare breed chickens that are on the endangered species list, and sure enjoy fooling with them. I've had chickens. One time I had 2,000 free range laying chickens here on the farm.
Goodness.
And never worked so hard for so little in my life.
Yeah. You got some hummingbirds too, don't you?
I love hummingbirds. Yeah, I devote a hour and a half, 2 hours a day in the summertime from the time the hummingbirds get here in the spring to the time they leave in the fall and start their migration. I love nothing better than sitting on the porch with a glass of lemonade watching hummingbirds in the afternoon.
They've always amazed me at how fast they can just hover. They kind of remind me of like a Disney character or something. They can just kind of hover over something.
I think they're the only bird that can fly backward and upside down about any direction they want to, And
they can fly right into your damn face too.
I've had dozens around me on the porch and never had one of them fly into me. They got their radar is something else. It's incredible. They can fly through a tree and never touch a branch or a leaf, and it's amazing what God gave our animals the instinct to do.
It really is, man. Me and my wife, we love dogs. Well, she loves all animals. I do too, but there's just something about a dog that my whole life it's been like that. It's like anytime I'd have dogs that get run over and everything else. And I mean, you just breaks your little heart, for a while, long time.
I know you get attached to them. Yes, sir.
And I mean, living out here in the country like we all do, I mean, it's inevitable for it to happen. You're going to run over somebody's dog in the road. They chase the cars and stuff. And that stuff would stick around with me for a while sometimes, still does. But this dog here, this Boston Terrier we got, he loves music. And I can lay in the bed or lay on the couch or something. And if I'm playing my guitar and kind of singing a little bit, he will come up and he'll lay down on me and put his chin on the guitar where he can feel, I think he likes to feel that vibration in the wood,
Yeah.
Man, he's something else. That'll put him out. And he's a hyper little ass too. It's got to be a weird. I mean, I know me and you've talked about it before. It's a weird time right now for people like us, in the music industry, and I know for y'all. Y'all did a virtual concert I saw the other night. for Camping World, I think it was.
Yeah, sure was.
That's probably a little different than playing in front
It
of a
was
live crowd, isn't it?
It was, yeah, but it was still fun to get to play again because it'd been, about a year since we did a concert together, and so it was a lot of fun to get together. And even the rehearsal, I like the all parts of it. I love rehearsing as much as the real shows, just to play.
Yeah,
Still love just playing.
It's like a drug, ain't it?
It really is. It's if it's in your if you love doing it, there's no substitute for it. It becomes part of your life.
Yeah, your harmony in Alabama has been, it's the hardest one to pick out. And does that come just natural to you from y'all just singing together and just knowing where to fall in? And I know y'all swap up. You and Jeff sometimes swap up, don't you?
Yeah. I was. Sometimes I'll do the high part, and sometimes I'll do the low part. Back in my younger days, I had a good falsetto, so I could go above Jeff or below him. But the good Lord gave me a talent for a dose of talent for harmony. But then I've really worked. I've studied harmony. I studied all the groups' harmony, the Beatles and the Eagles, and and then gospel parts. The Southern Gospel quartets over the years. I mean, all kind of harmony. I guess I was always fascinated by harmony, and to get to go into the studio and play with parts is still something I love to do, and that's what that was what I added to Alabama mostly. I guess was I would go in and work on parts all night, and then Jeff would come in, and once I'd find the ones I thought were the simplest, basic, but yet most meaningful parts, he would come in and choose the part he wished to do and do that one. Then I would do the other. But that was kind of the routine that we did. But, together, me and Randy and Jeff, there was, together, it was a powerful vocal sound, and just trying not to complicate, trying to keep it as simple and pure parts as we could. And a lot of times the hardest part to find is the simplest form of it. Mm-hmm. And I guess that's true about any art form. Is the simplest form of that art is once you master the basics, then you have a chance at becoming better.
Yeah, and like songwriting's that way too. I feel like guys like Merle Haggard could take these simple words and just put them in a song, make you just bring a tear to your eye, pretty much. And Willie was like that. Just it's hard to be simple when you're writing a song. Yeah,
I think to me, I guess Willie is probably, him and Bill Anderson would be close 1-2 to my all-time favorite songwriters in the industry. And then behind them comes a long line of great songwriters like Dean Dillon and people like that I got the fortune to be around. And great songwriting. I think I wrote my first song when I was 11, and I knew that. And I tell people I wrote hundreds of bad songs when we got to Myrtle Beach between 1973 and 1980. I literally wrote hundreds of bad songs, but I had to learn. I had to get all the bad ones out of my system, I guess, before I could find a good one. But it's honing your craft. And then I found out that the better quality songwriters I got to write with, the better I learned. And the faster I learned, and the more I learned about songwriting, because it is definitely we got 3 minutes as a songwriter, 2.5 to 3.5 minutes to give you the listener, a whole story. It's got to be most of the time, it's got to be all ears you're listening to, that sells you on the song. Sometimes a video can sell you on a song, I guess the visual, but to me, it's the heart and good of I close my eyes and listen to a song, and if I can follow that song along, it touches me in some way. Yeah, where it's emotionally or makes me want to cry, or makes me want to love, go home and love my wife or everybody it is, my kids. But it's a powerful tool. Music is a powerful tool, and songwriting is a powerful. But as I say, Willie is probably my favorite songwriter of all time. To have wrote the amount of songs that he's wrote that were simple, to the point. You can't forget them once you hear them. They're locked into your mind. They're so simple that, man, anybody could have wrote those songs. But it took a very special guy to get to the simplest form of presenting crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, it was how many songs did he write just that are not good songs, but great songs. They're touching songs. They're from the heart. Mm-hmm. They mean something. They're worth singing. But I guess I'm a little fanatical about song. I hear very rare this day and time do I hear a song that emotionally takes me someplace.
Me too.
And I live for that moment. I love that moment. I used to, with Alabama, I would live for the moment when I found a song that made me cry or made me, just break down emotionally and say, this touched me. It touched me. It touched me deep. It touched me. And I think it would do the same for other people. And when I'd find a song like that, it was better to me than anything I'd ever found in my life.
Yeah. I understand. I'm the same way. It's kind of a personal thing, really. First time you hear a song, I feel like and I feel like music in general is just spiritual.
Yes.
It can heal you when nothing else in the world can heal you. I've talked about this with other songwriters and friends of mine in the business. I mean, there's been times where a song or just music has been the healing factor, It's when nothing else has. I think there's something to that.
Yeah, for instance, the song "Angels Among Us" that Becky Hobbs, was one of the writers on. That song, we've had so many testimonies of how that song touched people and got them through tough times in their life. Just every month, there was a new testimony to that song, and. I remember the first time me and Randy heard the song that me and him both said, this, what a very special song this is. And it certainly has been. And it's funny, the record company did not hear the song to start with. I'll be honest with you. They did not hear the song to start with. They said, well, we'll put it on the current album as a special track for your fans out there. And, me and Randy looked at each other and said, well, okay, well, and it wound up not only being on that album, I think it wound up being on 3 or 4 albums that Alabama cut after that, because it was on the live album. It was on, it was on the gospel album. It was just a special song that no matter how many times we done it or where we done it, it always touched someone.
Yeah. Well, it sure is too. I mean, just to find a song like that, that touches you that much, and it touches other people.
Oh yeah. Well, if it don't touch me, I figure it's not going to touch anybody else. If it does touch me, then starts the job of turning a song into a hit record, so that you hook. I always wanted to. Alabama was accused of being. I read an article one time that said Alabama is the most vanilla, commercial, non-exciting band I've ever heard. I gave the writer 2 thumbs up. I said, that's exactly what I want to be. I want to be commercial. I want to sell millions. I don't want to sell 50 over here to a friend of mine or a bunch of friends of mine that we're in a little clique together, and we like this certain kind of music or this certain hi-hat sound or the drum sound or whatever it is. I said, I'm into songs and records that sell millions and millions and do it for year after year after year. And to do that, it's a lot of work. I sacrificed everything in my life for music.
Yeah.
My family, my fishing, my hunting, the things that I would have probably loved to have done a lot more of. But there wasn't time. There was a career. And there was a number 1 record and no one to follow it with, and no one to follow it with. And I was a poor old country boy, got a foot in the door, and I said, well, I'm going to ride this damn bull as long as I can, or it throws my ass one.
Man,
and it took It took everything.
Yeah.
But, then it wasn't worth it. Oh yeah, in ways. Do I wish I could have maybe going back and take a few more days off, spend with the family now? Yeah, but you only get one chance to do it, and my family realized they know I love them. They know that I love them more than anything in the world.
Yeah.
But I had a dream.
Yeah.
And I had to go for it.
Yeah. And had you not, I mean, you would always wonder. I think I would if I was in that position.
I mean, I had a chance to get a job in Fort Payne. I had an aunt tell me, said, you got to forget about that music and get you a job. I can get you a job over here at Wendy's, assistant manager. And she didn't understand at the time why me and Randy and Jeff gave up our jobs and went to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina in 1973. But you got to take that chance sometimes. And if it hadn't been for Randy and Jeff, I'll say this, I probably wouldn't have taken that chance. But because we kind of got together and it felt good, it sounded good to us, and we believed in each other, it gave us a strength that a single person probably wouldn't have had on my own. I don't think I'd have went to Myrtle Beach, and gave up my job and did what we done and chasing music. But somehow together, it seemed like it was worth the chance to take, where we failed or where we won. It was something that we felt like we needed to do, and we were young enough. I told my wife, I said, if I hadn't been successful in music by the time I'm 30 years old, I said, I'll leave it alone. I'll get into something and make some money so we can still have afford to have a house and a car and, raise kids. And it was close. I was approaching 30 when we had our first #1 record.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. And that Wendy's, I worked at that Wendy's when I was 16 in Fort Payne, by the way.
Did you, sir?
Yeah.
Did you, Andrew?
I did.
Wow.
That's kind of weird. That's kind of strange. How did y'all find the Bowery?
Well, our first drummer, John Vartanian, had played with another band from Fort Payne here called the Malibus back in 68 and 69. And they played over at the Bowery in Myrtle Beach. And then we called him Bennett, our drummer. His name was John Bennett Vartanian, but we called him Bennett. He knew Dick Laird, the guy that owned the Bowery. So him and Randy drove over in December and met with Dick Laird in 72 and said, we'd like to come over and play for the summer. And Dick said, well, sounds good. He knew Bennett and knew the Malibus had done a good job over there. They were really a good band, had good harmony, a family band that could have easily have made it as easy as we have if it had the right break. But we got the job over there and quit our jobs in March, about the first week of March, and headed toward Myrtle Beach in 1973. We get over there and walk into the Bowery, the club, and there's already a band set up. My heart fell to the floor. I'm thinking, wow, we've quit our jobs, come over here, and now that they've already hired another band. But come to find out, after checking around a little bit, it was what they called the day band. The band that played in the afternoon. So we inquired, well, how much, I think we started off making, I think it was $300 a week. Maybe it might have been $350 a week. That's for the whole band. And plus tips. And it was, everybody said, well, you make pretty good on tips, and you probably make as much or more tips than you do off your salary. So that's all we can get by. But we got over there and we asked them, so how much does the afternoon band pay? They said, well, $75. We said, we'll do it too if you let us. They hired us to do the afternoon gig and the night gig. So we would play 4 or 5 hours in the afternoon, come back and play 6 hours at night. 6 nights a week without a break. There was no breaks. It's billed as continuous entertainment.
My God.
So if one of the guys wanted to go to the bathroom, somebody else would front the band for a minute, asking, where's everybody from? Giving a toast, whatever. But it was just a tough job. so tough. Most people would have not done it because it low pay and not a lot of people came in to drink beer and as long as you was playing some kind of music but it challenged. We worked off the tip, so you had to. Probably the best thing about it, Andrew, is we had to play every type of music in order to make a living there.
Mm-hmm.
Bluegrass one night, you'd have a bunch of people from West Virginia in there wanting country roads, and and then you have some Southern rockers in there. Another night, they wanted to play Southern rock. Then we have old timey rock and roll. We have a crowd in there, so we had to cover. We at one time, I think Jeff said that he figured out we were doing somewhere between 900 and 1,000 songs over a 2-month period. Some would do more than others. Like behind closed doors, when that was hot, we'd do it 3 times a night.
Mm-hmm.
But it gave us a chance to work on our own music and to play our own music in front of the crowds there. So we were doing Tennessee River and mountain music, Feel So Right, those songs. Why Lady Why. We were doing them there on the stage before we ever left Myrtle Beach in 1980.
Yeah.
And so it gives us a chance we had a chance to give us a backlog of good songs so that when things broke for us, we were ready for it. We had, we had another song to follow with. We had another good song to follow that one with. And then after we had a couple of hits, man, we had every writer in Nashville, beating on the door to give us their songs. So we had, we said, wow, look what we stumbled into. And we were smart enough not to continue to cut our own songs. Once Dave Loggins' songs started coming through the door, and those great songwriters, that we could never had a chance. They wouldn't give us the time of day before, but once you have a couple number one records, then you start getting, the ice cream.
Yeah.
And we were fortunate enough to be able to sit there and gather songs. That's the reason we had 41 number one songs over our career that for a band is incredible. For anybody, it's incredible. But I think George Strait maybe one of the persons only there's not people ever had that many number one songs. But it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of patience and trying to find. I remember when we'd finish an album, I'd take a week off, maybe 10 days, and then I'd start worrying about where that next record was going to come from. And start looking and listening. I probably listened to more songs in my life than most. It wasn't anything for me to listen to 400 or 500 songs a week, and maybe not find anything that knocked me on my butt.
Yeah. I've heard a lot of songwriters talk about that, actually, about you playing, giving you a song or pitching you a song or, wherever they saw you, stopping you in your tracks to give you a song. And they said that's one thing they all said is you said you'd listen. You always listened to them,
Well, I was that hungry songwriter one time. I knew what it meant for somebody to just sit down and listen to a song I wrote.
Oh yeah, means the world.
Back when Joe Taylor, artist agency, was booking us, and a girl named Kelly that was worked. She was an artist there, and she liked a couple of my songs and pulled me in and got Dick Hurd to listen to them, which led to me getting my very first country hit or country cut on "Call I May Never Be Your Lover, But I'll Always Be Your Friend" on an artist named Bobby G. Rice for Dick Hurd back in the 70s.
Wow, I didn't know that. Did you and Randy write "My Home's in Alabama" when you was at Myrtle Beach?
Yes, sir. We wrote that in Benton Trailer Park in Myrtle Beach. Benton Trailer Park sits right under WKCQ, which is the rock station on the beach there, right under their radio tower. And I remember we were when like July, it was hot. Randy called me one morning. He said, "You want to ride after dinner?" And I said, "Sure." And he lived 2 trailers down. He said, "Well, step down to the next trailer when you get after you eat your sandwich." And I said, "I'll be down there." And so I went and said, I don't know where they ever amount to anything or not, but I said, it's a pretty cool little song. And me and Randy were kind of about halfway through the song and realized that one of us was writing for the state of Alabama and one of us was writing for the band from a thought process. My home's in.
Yeah.
But anyway, it worked out. But we kind of laughed about it later. Said, well, but that song was like 8 minutes long or something. When we first recorded it, and I think even when they edited it down, I think it was still like 6 minutes long for a single. Early on, just before RCA, it was peaking out in the top 20 about the time RCA signed us. My home in Alabama was. It was on MDJ Records. Larry McBride signed us out of Texas. But RCA really didn't promote. They decided to wait and promote Tennessee River, which was the first single officially released on RCA.
So y'all wrote a lot of them early songs back then in the Myrtle Beach days.
We lived across the cotton field from each other. His father and my grandmother were brother and sister. So, and we lived on adjoining cotton farms. So me and him would, when we had time in the afternoon, we get together and swap. Hey, you figured out this new Beatle chord? Was into the Beatles, trying to figure out all their chords and everything. And but yeah, we started writing. We started writing as a little later on. There is really started writing after he got out of high school. As far as us writing together, but over the years, then it turned into we wrote a lot of my favorite songs. Yeah, we wrote together with him and Greg Fowler and Ronnie Rogers. Those guys, we hung together all the time and wrote together all the time. They'd even travel on the road with us, when Greg was our road manager, and Ronnie went out on the road with us a lot, just to go out and write. And me and Ronnie, we've drove to Alaska.
My God.
And wrote songs while we was up there. We flew to Hawaii and spent 3 weeks in Hawaii and wrote a song while we was over there. Just had a great life. It's been a wonderful life to get to do what I've done with the people I've got to do it with.
Oh yeah. How nervous was y'all going on American Bandstand? Because y'all looked like you was nervous as hell on that.
Man, we were. I mean, we were country boys in California, man. With where most of the artists that were on there were rock or pop, artists. We were given the opportunity to do that. But man, one thing, it changed people's attitude around home. Once we were on that show, we came back home, people thought that we were something then,
Yeah. I supported them boys their whole life. I knew they'd make it. That whole thing. Yeah. Oh yeah. Dick Clark, that's kind of funny because I know Dick Clark was so important. And a lot of people don't really know that because it ain't really talked about a lot, not enough. But Dick Clark was so important to country music.
He was instrumental in a lot of different. He liked all types of music. That's the thing about him, and he gave a lot of different people shots. To get started, and he remained friends with us. Throughout our career. And was always there to help us any way he could. If he liked you, he liked you.
Yeah. Do you remember the first show that y'all had that you realized that y'all were really had made it or was going to make it?
We had we left Myrtle Beach in 1980, and there was an old promoter in King, North Carolina, came out of retirement, and he actually was the first guy. Keith Fowler was his name. He's the first guy to take country out of the bar rooms into the concert halls with Dolly Parton and Kenny Rogers. He was the first guy to take them into the concerts, and Loretta and Conway. Mm-hmm. anyway, he was kind of retired and came out of retirement to promote our shows. And they said, y'all want to go out and open for other people, or you want to try to do your own thing? And we said, well, we'll open for a few shows for some other people, and then we'll try it. We'll stick our toe in the water and try, selling some tickets just on our own. And we went down to Savannah, Georgia, and there was maybe, 1,600 people there, which as biggest crowd we'd ever played for. But they were there to see Alabama, and they were loud and they were rowdy, and that was the first time us peeping out from behind the curtain and realizing, wow, these people are here to see us, and they're ready to kick some ass.
Mm-hmm.
And that was kind of the Alabama crowd throughout the years. Our live show was more like a rock concert than it was a country show, because we come out, we played hard, and we the music, we didn't play, we weren't, we played, tried to have the best sound and lights that were available on the market at the time for our fans.
Yeah.
But it was, and then playing, there's a couple of years we played 300 shows a year, Andrew.
Mm.
So you don't have room or time for anything else. I mean, that's a concert.
Yeah. That's a lot of road days in between and travel days, and that's brutal on itself.
Never home. I remember I hadn't seen my wife for almost 2 months, and they drove down to Gaston, Alabama, south of here.
Mm-hmm.
And we flew in and got to spend a couple of hours with them before we had to fly on out to California. But that's how hectic it was. Some days doing 2 shows a day. I remember doing 3 shows in one day.
Man, that's brutal, man.
And the industry and management and I hate to say it, but people will work you as hard as you let them work you. I mean, it's not hurting them; it's making them money.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can stand it, they'll stack it on like cordwood. And as long as you can carry the load, they'll. And there's not all of them. There's some good people out there right now.
Mm-hmm.
Tony Conway, he's our manager now. Tony's, we've been through several managers in our life, and if every manager was like Tony, it would be a very special and wonderful world for the artist.
He's been around a long time too, hasn't
he? He sure has. Yeah, he's been around a long time, and been a great guy and a good friend for years now.
I mean, I can't imagine how good it felt when you bought your granddaddy's old farm. I've heard you talk about that before. I know to you, just knowing you the way I do, I mean, I know that meant everything to you.
Yeah, that was my very first RCA check. I guess that, it was around, if I remember right, it was around $60,000. And I opened up the check that day and I was looking at it and asked my wife, I said, what in the world are we going to do with $60,000? We were getting by at the time, didn't have nothing really, but we were okay. She said, well, why don't you go buy your grandfather's farm? So there's 60 acres. So I'll offer him 1,000 acres. I'm sure he'd be happy to sell it to you for that. And I was always close to my grandpa anyway. He kind of raised me, so it was a no-brainer. He said, I'd love for you to have the place, Teddy. And he lived, I said, well, the house is yours till you pass away. And he lived on the farm. So he was 93 years old. I lost him in the end. But yeah, the old farm here, since then I've added my great-grandfather Owen's 80 acres and my uncle's 70 acres on the other side. So we run about 250 acres of run cattle, have our own breed of cows. We started back in the late 80s called the South Pole breed. Mm-hmm. That's done quite well. We have over 2,000 members now.
That's great. Of course, Randy, he's got a lot of livestock and has a big party there, and every year, a few times a year, I think. People come from all over, of course. Like he's got Angus and he's got Hereford and who's this?
This is my baby girl.
Oh, she looks kind of like my grandma's little. What kind of dog is it?
She's a Shih Tzu.
Yeah,
13-year-old Shih Tzu.
13. Man, there ain't nothing like a dog, man. I'm telling you. What do you remember about the being on the USS Constellation with Hank Jr. and Earl Thomas Conley and back in the early 80s? It was a big, I think it was a pay-per-view or one of the first pay-per-views or something.
You won't believe this story. We have an intro tape that plays as we were walking up to the stage, going on stage. And so the intro tape going, and we were walking up toward the back of the stage, and there was a MP standing there with a guard dog on a lead. And as I went by the guy, I nodded at him, just nodded my head like that. Next thing I knew, this dog was hanging off my arm. He bit me on the arm, was hanging on, and he turned loose. And I had 2 big fang marks on my arm. And so they stopped the intro music and took me over to the medical tent and squirted some iodine in my arm and bandaged it up. And I gave him a sign and I said, "Let's go." They turned the music back on. I put on a long sleeve shirt. The audience never knew anything, never knew what was going on. I went back out and played my show. When I came off the stage, the base commander if they said it was about a quarter mile to his house, he'd walked to his house and got his Purple Heart he got in Vietnam and would have nothing else but to pin it on me when I came off the stage. Man. He said that was the most heroic thing you went up and played it for my troops that I've seen. And but it was
wow.
That's the story about that day.
Wow.
And I didn't want his Purple Heart. I said, I don't deserve this. I said, I'm just doing my job. He said, and he insisted I take it. He got killed in a plane crash about 5 years after that. And I was able to locate his wife and return it to her. But
money can't buy that. My God. What a feeling.
And as a little sidetrack to that, he knew I could have raised hell about that with the Navy, and I didn't. I never. All they did, they gave me a rabies, not a rabies shot, but a lockjaw shot, I guess. Anyway, they gave me a shot before I left the base, and I never heard anything else about it. But it's funny how things work out. Years later, we were playing for President Bush, Senior Bush, on the White House lawn for his barbecue for the senators, and came around and after the show, he was standing backstage talking with some of the road crew, and I walked up and started talking to him, and he said, y'all, that's back when we had our airplane. He said, y'all flying back home this afternoon? I said, yes, we are. And he said, well, you ought to spend the night and just fly down with me tomorrow. So I got to be in Marietta tomorrow for the Baptist convention. So I said, you serious? He said, yes, sir. I said, I'd love to have you. And so I said, well, he said, where you staying? I said, I gave him the name of the hotel, and he called his guy over there. He said, pick Mr. Gentry up in the morning and make sure he gets to the plane okay. And the guy said, yes, sir. And next morning at 8 o'clock, he knocked on my door. I had this blue van, got my stuff loaded up. We never stopped one time. They saluted all the way to Air Force One. The head steward of Air Force One came out and met me, and he said, the president's going to be about 30 minutes late. He told me to give you a tour of the airplane. So he gave me a whole tour of Air Force One, the whole plane and everything, and he had all the people on the plane sign me a picture and give it to me and everything. And then when the president got there, of course, he he treated me like royalty. Came back and he said, I got to meet with some of these senators on some business for about 10, 15 minutes. And he said, you can come up to my office and we'll sit and talk country music. I said, okay. So we did for the last 30 minutes of the flight. But he said, would you like to go sit up in the cockpit for takeoff while I do my little meeting? And I said, would I? So I'm one of the few guys, I bet you, that's ever gotten to go up and sit and watch in the jump seat and watch takeoff of Air Force One.
Wow.
But it was a neat experience. And to finish up my story, I found out later that him and the base commander where the dog bit me were real tight. They were close friends. And he knew about me before I knew about him.
How about that? Man, it's funny how stuff happens, ain't it? I think God's behind all of it. I think God is just behind everything, you know. There's
without doubt. I mean, there's, he controls. He's definitely in the driver's seat of anything that we want to do and everything that goes on.
Yeah.
And if we can, that's all we live for, is to hope to see his precious face one day.
Right. Exactly. Whose idea was the June Jam when y'all started that?
Well, there was a promoter that came in and said he's going to put on a local show in 1980 we were just kind of getting started. He got a couple of other country artists to come in, and if the high school would let him use their facility, there's a big field behind the high school, that he would donate money to the school. And anyway, make a long story short, he skipped town and took the money with him. None of the artists got paid, and
sounds familiar.
Oh Lord. I just saw something pop up that breaks my heart, buddy. It said Charlie Pride just passed away.
Oh man, I was just talking about him to my wife a while ago too. Oh man,
just popped up on the screen there, buddy.
Oh
Lord. Between him and losing my buddy Charlie Daniels the same year.
Man,
couple of big Charlies in country music.
Oh yeah, the biggest.
Anyway, the promoter left town, and we told the school, said, well, next year the band will put it on, and we will make sure that you get the money. And from there it grew to we raised several $1 million over the years to different charities, But that's kind of what started. It was because of a crooked promoter shafting everybody here, and we said, well, next year we'll do it ourselves, and we did. And it wound up, it became so big that our crew would work on it all year, setting it up and getting the artists lined up and the sound and, all the logistics it took to put on a show like that.
Yeah.
To the point where we had 2 stages so that we could be, set in one stage while the other performers was playing.
Mm-hmm.
And, but it, like all things, it started out so that it was really, the local people supported it good and everything. And then it became kind of a job, and then it kind of became, let's stick it to, if we have to do any work up there, it was all volunteer to start with. And then it got where it was hard to get people to do anything. And if they did, they charged 3 prices for it, and we had more people backstage trying to get in free and enjoying the free food and the catering. And, so it became, instead of raising money for charity, became so much of a party event that when it got to the point where it really wasn't making that much money, we said, well, we don't need to do it anymore. It's too much work. But during the years that we did it for a long time, and we had a lot of great artists that about everybody in country music came through there at one time or another and played the June Jam,
Oh yeah.
And it was a great event, but man, people don't realize how much work we put on our crew besides doing our tour every year. doing the June Jam, and it was just a ton of work, but worth it in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I mean, it was basically an all-week event. Y'all had Randy and celebrity softball, and Jeff had the bass tournament, and I think Randy had the golf tournament. I mean, it was, but man, what a great thing y'all did just for the community and and all these artists basically did it out of the kindness of their heart, and that was about it, wasn't it?
Yep.
That's really something. That I don't know of anything. I mean, Charlie Daniels volunteer jam. There's Farr Aid.
Yep.
But man, the June Jam, I mean, it was, like you said, it just grown bigger and bigger and bigger. It's just amazing what all that accomplished. And the on to years later, you and Jamie Johnson wrote some songs together. I know Stars in Alabama is one of my favorites.
Thank you. Yeah. Jamie, I met him shortly after he first came to town. I think nobody knew who Jamie was, and I was just impressed with a guy that had from Alabama and been through the Marines and was in Nashville looking to become a songwriter. And I said, shoot, I'll write with you. And did, and then all of a sudden everybody, he was writing with everybody, and all of a sudden he was one of the hottest writers around, and he, Jamie is an incredibly good writer, good friend of mine, and he's just a great country singer too. I mean, very, very few combination, I call them, people that were great singers and writers. You mentioned Merle Haggard. Merle was probably the ultimate singer and writer, in my opinion. He was an incredibly great salesman of a song from singing it, so believable, never oversang a song, just sang the song with emotion and and then to be able to write like he could write too is a very rare thing indeed, but Jamie's he's one of those people that has the ability of a great singer and a great songwriter. So he's a special friend, and I'm a big fan of his.
I am too. I've always been a supporter of his. A Haggard thing real quick. He was playing in, I think it was in Gadsden or Birmingham or something. And it's when y'all had come back out of retirement, and Jeff came to, I reckon Jeff would just go set up with him and play with the strangers, just kind of in the corner over there anytime Merle was close by. And I was there at that show, and the band was sound checking, getting ready to rehearse, and they're setting the folding chairs up on the floor down there, and Merle's sitting in one of them and Jeff's sitting in one of them. And I had known Jeff a few years, and he's been real good to me and helped me, about 10 years ago. He's got a special place in my heart. But I went down there and Jeff introduced me to Merle, and my cell phone was charging in the car or something like that. So I'm thinking, well, hell, I wanted a picture with him. I mean, we talked, but Jeff took the picture of us on his phone, and then later on he tried to charge me $20 to get it. But that's Jeff. I was talking to Merle, and he just started telling me this random story about this spider following him in the hotel room and scaring him to death. And he said, we ain't got spiders like that out in California. And he said, well, I guess if I go crazy, just tell everybody I'm all right. And I kind of just stood there a minute and stared at him like I was lost, I guess. And he did kind of me too. Intense anyway, he was. And I said, well, hell, that sounds like a song. And he said, well, maybe so. It just might be, or something like that. And he wrote his cell phone number down and handed it to me. And he said, call me Monday. And walked off. And he got up and started playing fiddle and showing Ben some of them licks, just sound checking. He's telling jokes, and I mean, that's just doing a sound check. And later on, Monday came, and I was like, man, I can't call Merle Haggard. He ain't gonna know who the hell I am, you know. I never did call. I just wrote that down, what he said in my phone on the notes. And then he died, and I was listening to Rainbow Stew live, the old 45 I've got. And the night he died, that was just on my mind, and I just finished that. I wrote that song, If I Go Crazy, and I put it on my last album. But I had James Mitchell come in and do them Telecaster licks. I mean, he just nailed it. But it was almost like a thing where he was in the room with me. I felt like, you know, that was a strange night. It was. I mean, I really felt like he was sitting right there. Merle, he was intense, man. But I told Bobby Bear that later on. He said, well, hell, you should have just called him. I said, man, I didn't think he'd remember who I was, you know. But I'll always be grateful to Jeff for a lot of things, but for that. Not for trying to charge me $20 to get the picture. Y'all, when y'all got back together, I know it was when the tornadoes hit here in DeKalb County, you know, April 27th, 2011, I think it was. And I mean, it was the most terrible disaster, I think, ever for this state in this area. But I've heard you say before and stuff, y'all just basically talk and say, well, we got to get together and do something. Did that kind of light the fire, and y'all just kind of get together and start rehearsing again? And
yeah, I think, you know, being off for a period of time and getting back together, you know, we never planned to get back together, but the way it happened, and we did get back together, I think everybody said, wow, still feels like fun, you know, something that we'd like to do some more of. So we told them we'd like to work a few shows, see how it works out. And I still feel the same way today. I mean, I still miss playing, you know. It's like I said earlier, it's part of my life. And I don't want to play 300 shows a year again, ever, Andrew. But, you know, to do, you know, 15 or 20 shows a year would be, you know, fun. A couple of months during this, you know, spring and summer months. It would be fun.
How different is it now, looking over there and not seeing Jeff over there most of the time when y'all do play?
Well, it's really, you know, especially the first few shows without him was really, really tough. But, you know, then you say, well, you know, let's make the music as good as we can possibly make it, you know. And it took three people to replace, and we still didn't replace Jeff's part, you know, but it took three people to even cover his parts that he did.
Mm-hmm.
We had to have a fiddle player, had to have a high part harmony singer, had to have a good guitar player.
Mm-hmm.
And so, needless to say, you know, by the way, the song that me and you were going to write, it got wrote.
It did.
Yeah.
I got to hear that.
Chip Davis and Billy Davis came down about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and we were sitting around. I hadn't written a song, and I told you about 2 years, I guess, if it was.
Yeah.
And Billy pulled out his acoustic and started playing on it, and I said, "Let me say that thing, man." I said, "I got this idea," and man, it just came. I couldn't stop it from coming.
That's how it works.
But it's just called Jill's Song. It's a very special song. We've seen it all, the good and bad. We've felt it all, the happy and sad. But in the end, it's been worth everything that we've been through. If you forget, I'll remember for you.
Mm.
You were the best with that guitar in your hand. I was amazed, like all of your fans. The crowd on their feet every night with your foot stomping green fiddle tunes. If you forget, they'll remember for you.
Oh, man, I love that.
Well, tonight on the stage, the last verse, the night on the stage, you're still here, like you've been by my side through the years. But put a smile on your face and know no one can take your place. I'll end this song on a happy note or two. If you forget, they'll remember. Will they forget you? Oh, no, never. If you forget, we'll remember for you.
But that says it all.
It came out. It came out great. I mean, I'm tickled with it. I got to play it for Jeff and him.
Did you?
The night I finished the little demo, I came by. Chip sang the demo for me, and I worked on it all afternoon. Got it sounded pretty good. Come by and play it for Jeff that night in the car. Many of them sat there and cried. And true Jeff fashion, he looked at me after it finished with big old alligator tears running down his face, and he said, "You run out of any damn thing to write about, didn't you?"
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man, he's still got that sense of humor.
Yeah.
He's God bless him.
One of a kind.
Yeah. I know
Chemo's doing great, brother. He had the virus, you know.
No, I didn't know that.
His mother, his mother passed away. She got it and passed away. Been a tough deal on the whole family. But Chemo's doing better. He did the show with us for Camping World back a few weeks ago that we did.
Mm-hmm.
But man, this virus thing is tough on a lot of folks. My Jackie Owen, the first guy, the very first time Alabama played, I played drums, and Jackie Owen, my cousin, played bass. Did you know that? You know I was a drummer?
No, I didn't know that.
I played one night at our first show in Section, Alabama. We did 2 Merle Haggard songs. We did "Sing Me Back Home" and "Silver Wings," and we won the talent show. And we got to go to Nashville to the Grand Ole Opry. It was first place winner.
So you play drums?
I don't own up to it because it lowers your IQ 2 points just automatically, you know.
Oh man. We got to get together and ride, man. We got to get together. I'm back in the saddle. I'm ready to ride again. It took me a while to kind of get back and you know, I mean, if you just don't feel it, you know, you just don't feel it, you know. And I've never been one to force it if I didn't feel it, you know. Sit down just to write to be writing. I got to want to write. I got to want to, you know. And but we're gonna do it. We'll do it. Just get into past Christmas here and middle of January. Me and you'll hook up. I guarantee it. Okay. Yeah, that sounds good because you don't ever need to stop doing that, man. That's part of you.
No,
it makes you tick. You know, I mean, I'm the same way. I'm glad y'all finished that. I want to hear it too, man. I mean, that says it all.
I think it's really a neat melody too. But I'm looking for my phone. It's like my glasses. I'm looking at my phone.
I was about to say, you're looking for your damn phone. Oh man.
Shit.
Oh God.
I think I'm toast.
Man, I appreciate you doing this. It's been fun talking to you, asking you shit that I wouldn't normally ask you. You know, I'm doing this because I'm not doing hardly any shows now, and I've lost touch with a lot of friends in the music business and the entertainment business, sports people I've met, you know, just crossed paths with over the past 12 years. I just thought, man, I'm a part of it, sleep or something. I need to wake up.
It's been fun. It's been fun talking about some of the old things, but thank you for asking me to do it.
Oh yeah, man. I thank you for doing it.
There, enjoy our little talk. You got it.
Oh yeah, they will.
Peace out.
All right, y'all. Appreciate you listening to another episode of Picking It Out, and we'll see you next time.